South Africa's women's hockey team got together for a camp in Cape Town ahead of the FIH World Cup. Among the experts brought in to help them prepare was Joanne Mountford, an expert in helping teams and individuals focus on core strengths. Joanne graduated from the University of Stellenbosch in 1995 and while there played hockey for both Marties and Western Province. We asked Joanne what coach Giles Bonnet wanted her to focus on.
Giles was really after a high-performance culture and a high-performance team, and he needed an accelerated process to get them to the World Cup. So Giles and I sat down and chatted about the Gallup Strengths Finder process. And what it is each player takes an online assessment, and through that process, it turns out their top strengths. And in an ideal world, I would have sat down with each player and gone through their strengths individually, but unfortunately time didn't allow. So what happened is we had the SA camp in Cape Town, and myself with Kate Wright, she was a former Canadian captain and player, and she'd worked under Giles, and she's very much a performance coach. So the two of us sat together and worked out how we were going to get the best version of the team in the time that was allowed. How Clifton Strengths works and is probably different from other things is that it's divided into 4 different categories. So the strengths are turned out in executing themes, in relationship building themes, in influencing themes, and strategic thinking domain. So when we look at these strengths, then people understand themselves better and are able to articulate how they are going to be the best version of themselves. So what I did is I divided the team up into the more experienced players with the less experienced players, because understand that this team has got a lot of very, very young up-and-coming players because the vision is on the Olympics. And so I divided them into like-for-like strengths, so ones that had similar strengths. And then we looked at where they've used these strengths before. So it's a very practical tool. It's a practical tool where they can actually give concrete examples where they use these strengths. It's looking at what the team can do. It's definitely not looking at what we can't do.
The positivity that Joanne brings with her helped inspire a very diverse squad, bringing out hitherto hidden talents and self-belief.
The feedback from the team was that they'd never been given the mental strength opportunities that was offered to them. So with Kate and I, it was very much about mental strength performance, very much about focused on what they can do. The whole process really is about that each individual is specific to their strengths and they don't need to be everything. So it's understanding this is the best version of me. This is going to be the best version of me on the field. Giles wanted them to be able to be accountable after each chukker, that they had to have set goals for each chukker, and then they had to be able to, they weren't going to say it, but in their own mind, yes, I achieved what I needed to achieve in that chukker. So they needed to be able to be accountable for their strengths. And then it was also about understanding their teammates. The coaches, management, physios, doctors, they also all did the assessments because it's so critical that everybody's communicating on the right level, so that the coach is understanding that these players these are their needs, this is where they're going to be the best version of themselves.
Clearly, the team dynamic was front and centre, but Joanne's focus is on how the individual can thrive in a team environment, blending the external with the internal.
So as the players were getting to understand their strengths a little bit deeper, we asked them what they think they look like when they're thriving. If they weren't able to access that, then they asked their teammates. And it was just a really lovely way to build confidence, to build awareness. You could see the youngsters, their body language lifting. This process really opened up channels of communication, awareness, and what it does is it eliminates error. It also eliminates negative energy. It also saves energy and time in knowing that that player is going to be best like that, and this is how I can help them raise their game and perform. The camp was really about performance. It was so short-lived, but some of the things that I did bring in, I brought in the food and mood connection. So how the food that you eat is going to either help or hinder your performance. It's really about taking responsibility of what you're putting in the engine and how it's going to impact performance. Another thing that I brought in was introducing yoga and breathing, and I didn't do any meditations, but gave them exercises to do for recovery. And it's such an important part of holistic healing, so the healing of the mind and the body. I gave them breathing technique to really calm things down, to engage the parasympathetic, and those are the tools that they need if they're anxious. Because when your mind is cluttered with external things, it can't perform.
The diversity of Joanne's professional background, together with her own hockey experience, gave important context to understanding how the team benefited from her time with them.
Working with the SA team was one of the most positive, rewarding experiences that I've had doing this Gallup Strengths Finder so far. It was received with they were like sponges. They just loved it. There were so many aha moments. I think their shoulders just dropped because it simplified stuff. It connected them. It connected the experience with the young ones. It gave them focus. It gave them understanding. It was just such an uplifting, positive experience, and I just wish them so much success going forward. And I hope other sponsors get on board, because I think their greatest challenges right now are sponsorship and money, and whereas other teams overseas have so much opportunity because of financial assistance, and unfortunately our team really struggles for each event, for each competition.